In the commentary track for Critters, the production team all admit that this is one of the most reviled Batman episodes they ever made from a fan perspective. But they really like it because of how goofy it is, among other reasons. Where do I stand on this one? Let's discuss, shall we? At Gotham's Agricultural Expo, microbiologist Farmer Brown presents his revolutionary way of helping to feed families and nations all over the world. His homemade growth hormones turn animals into giants. He shows off an example to the crowd with a monstrous cow, or sheep? Panda bull? Honestly, I don't know what that thing is supposed to be, but there it is. The animal is spooked by the flashing lights from the onlookers' cameras and breaks out of its cage, causing havoc in the convention center. Watching from the crowd, Bruce Wayne covers the mammal in a curtain as it knocks itself down. From there, Farmer Brown sedates it. Later, in a courtroom, Brown is ordered to halt his experiments and move any living specimens outside Gotham City. The farmer mentions that millions of dollars went into his work, and if he can't continue, he'll be ruined. This doesn't help his case, as the order is passed. 1 year later, giant praying mantises, mutated chickens, and enormous bulls start attacking the city. The Bat family is on the case, but eventually, a talking goat shows up in Commissioner Gordon's office.
50 million in unmarked bills. The docks tonight or the bugs come back for good.
I know this episode's reputation. People didn't like it when it came out, and as far as I can tell, there's not a lot of love out there for it now either. Shout out to the people in the comments saying, actually, I like it. That's fine. Like what you like. I am no fan of Critters. It feels like a goofy premise just for the sake of it. Now, I don't want you to only think I dislike it because it's silly. There are a handful of episodes, a few from just this season, that have wacky concepts and lighter tones that I enjoy quite a bit. We just talked about The Ultimate Thrill. Roxy Rocket definitely went into camp territory there, and that was still a fun story. It felt like it had a point and established an interesting new antagonist. Joker's Millions and the Harley Quinn-centric shows like Harley's Holiday, Harley Quinade, and Harley and Ivy also had a lot more comedy and ridiculous situations in them. Those all worked because the characters gave us a reason to care. Farmer Brown doesn't. He wasn't a pre-established villain, and this wasn't based on an old comic storyline from the Golden or Silver Age, as far as I know. He and his daughter are just these random Southern American stereotypes, but the twist is, he's smart? Brown is a microbiologist, and his demeanor is directly called out in the episode for being more similar to Jed Clampett from the Beverly Hillbillies than anything else.
So you survived the Joker and the rest of those freaks, only to buy it from Jed Clampett and a bunch of bugs.
So the contrast is supposed to be humorous, I guess. In the commentary track, Bruce Timm acknowledges that anyone watching this wouldn't know when it's trying to be funny or not, and in that lies one of the big problems. The story was outlined by Steve Gerber in his second writing credit for TNBA. As a reminder, Gerber created Howard the Duck and was well known for some of his more zany, outlandish stories. This definitely fits into the same ballpark as Love is a Crock. The difference is, he had full writing credit on that one. Here, after his outline was approved after initially not being liked behind the scenes, they brought in Joe R. Lansdale to write the teleplay. The same Joe R. Lansdale who wrote the scripts for Showdown, Read My Lips, and freaking Perchance to Dream. This was his only new Batman Adventures credit, and this is what they gave him to write? What a waste. Even he couldn't make this story work. It may have just been that Gerber wasn't a great fit for the series, and his concepts didn't land very well in this world. We do know that the creative team were all questioning why this went into production at all.
When I handed it to the director and the storyboard artist, their reaction was,
"Oh, this sucks." I think we were going to stage a coup or something. We just read the outline and went, "You've got to be kidding."
I remember it being in the story session with the other writers when Steve came in and he goes, "I have this idea for a villain. He's called Farmer Brown." And it was like crickets in the room. Can this work in Batman?
The answer was no. But by the time the episode was finished, most of the team came around on it. Their main defense was that Farmer Brown seemed like a villain that would have shown up in the third season of the Adam West Batman show.
It is very much like an Adam West Batman show, except that it is played straighter.
Look, I've said this before, but it's worth repeating. I always respected Adam West and thought he actually had a great career for himself when it was all said and done. I understand the importance and cultural impact of the 66 series, but if that was the first version of Batman I ever saw, I'm not sure it would have made me a fan, even as a kid. With Batman the Animated Series, they were actively trying to distance themselves from that and follow more in the darker comics and Tim Burton's movie steps. They ended up making the best iteration of the character ever along the way. To see them make something like this just because it felt like the 60s show is so odd to me. This was very late in the run, I get that, but they branched out in other ways that worked, including an almost direct ode to that era in Legends of the Dark Knight. From a character perspective, it was nice to see Batman, Robin, and Batgirl all teamed up to take on a threat. They also had good old Harvey Bullock at their side. But even Bruce is a little off here, as his writing conflicts with his out-of-costume persona we had seen earlier in the series.
Quick thinking, Wayne.
Actually, I was trying to escape through the window. You've got to have a little faith, Sharon. Karen, you're not going to help me, are you?
I know this isn't out of character for the public identity of Wayne in general, but this version of Bruce would usually be charming, even in these awkward situations. At least he got his black eyes back for a second. Oh hey, Robin's got jokes.
Holy cow!
You had to say it.
That's a lot of bull.
That bull also crashes through a fine china shop.
Nice.
There are a few fun facts that occurred behind the scenes. Dan Reba, the director of this episode, had just gotten this script while working on The Ultimate Thrill and had the storyboard artists add that Farmer Brown truck into one of Batman and Roxy's chases.
Nice.
Also, the part of the episode where one of the chickens bite open a vat of barbecue sauce was originally supposed to be frying oil, cooking the giant bird then and there. Instead, the censors had them change it, and it ended up looking like blood.
Nice.
I suppose Farmer Brown also mutated these chickens to fly and gave Timon here roid rage. Come on, man. Hakuna Matata.
Nice.
Detective Harvey Bullock delivers the demanded cash to Brown's daughter, Emmy Lou, and tags along behind her boat back to their hideout. He's discovered by the genetically enhanced woman and given as food to a rather portly pig. Luckily, the Bat family interrupts the feeding session and battle Farmer Brown's twisted artificial ranch. But when Emmy Lou captures Robin, Batman is forced to concede. Our heroes are gathered inside a rocket made from a silo with unhatched giant mantises inside. The rocket's destination is Gotham Park Lake, where the mantises will feed on Gothamites. Before the silo takes off, one of the insects hatch, and Batman tricks it into prying the door open. Everyone escapes and flees the area, just not before the Dark Knight crashes a truck into the rocket as it goes airborne. Mid-flight, it explodes over the city, the pieces of which land near Brown's getaway boat. Soon after, the Browns are arrested and hauled away, ending the episode. Was there anything here I liked? Yes, this shot of Farmer Brown looking out a window. I like this shot. I will say, I think Farmer Brown could have worked in the prologue of a Justice League episode. They should have thrown him in a Batman the Brave and the Bold show too. That would have been funny. At best, Critters was a swing and a miss. No one comes to Batman the Animated Series for the Adam West show. They even brought in the man himself and made one of the absolute best noir-type stories in BTAS history with the Grey Ghost. So this all baffles me when you know there were other great ideas in that writing room that never saw the light of day, and Critters is one that broke through. Is it the worst installment of the whole shebang? It very well might be. Because of that, I know anyone who hasn't seen it will want to, but it's just not a fun way to spend 21 minutes. If you're curious, check it out and listen to the commentary track if you can find it. Otherwise, leave them critters alone.
Nice.